Good evening. Benefits. It's the topic that has got the entire nation talking. Are they a vital safety net for our neediest or a cushy option for our laziest? Does the system prop Britain up or drag us all down? Tonight, get ready for some very strong views from a specially invited audience. We've brought together people from all walks of life who claim benefits and critics who claim the system's in a mess. We're going to hear from celebrities who've lived on benefits, big-name politicians and people featured on programmes like On Benefits and Proud and Benefit Street, including the woman that's divided opinion across Britain. Yes, Deirdre Kelly, otherwise known as White D, is here tonight. And we want to hear from you. Tweet us at #BigBenefitsRow right now. You'll see your comments appearing on the bottom of the screen throughout the programme. But first, the row that's brought Britain to boiling point.
Now, the future of the benefit system and who should be able to claim moves on again today.
Probably 5% of people on this road that are working.
What we have in this so-called debate about the welfare state is a relentless, almost obsessive hunting down of the most extreme people.
The benefit system is put there to help people that can't go out and work.
There's this whole issue of people saying, I'm working, and, you know, there's all these people getting benefits and everything.
The debate rages on Britain's welfare culture.
I make absolutely no apology for tightening the British benefit system.
I want to teach my kids that it's wrong to be idle and to be on benefits.
We let these problems be ghettoised.
Always going to have some that maybe are going to abuse the system.
Why are they getting money for nothing? Not working. I've had to work all my life.
But there are so many of us out there that aren't abusing the system.
All these immigrants coming over here claiming the benefits.
They're trying to find someone to blame for.
The majority are here to claim their benefits, isn't it?
The rhetoric is very close to xenophobia.
Child benefit, really, that's for us.
We come here because it's easy money for them.
We're working very hard, we're paying taxes.
Too often the focus is on scapegoating.
Casual disapproval of those on benefits is too easy.
There's a negativity towards those on benefits.
It annoys me that sometimes people do get more money than me.
Many of them are vulnerable.
Such a struggle.
Their need for support from the wider community is deep.
They don't live in the real world.
Most people do not want to be poor.
I have no choice.
Stuck on welfare.
The benefit system,
year after year,
traps people
out of touch.
Benefits help me out.
Ghettos,
paid to stay idle,
worklessness,
reject work.
People are struggling.
Lose benefits.
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 benefit,
Benefits.
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 benefits, benefit, benefits.
It's so hard, so hard.
So, everyone is talking about benefits, but what are they actually saying? We commissioned an exclusive opinion poll to find out what Britain really thinks. The first question, is the benefit system fit for purpose or not? Now, an overwhelming 66% of those questions said no, the benefit system is not fit for purpose. Only about 1 in 7 thought it was OK as it is. Let's see what our first panel of the evening thinks. With me are Ken Livingstone, two-time Mayor of London. We have self-styled social commentator Katie Hopkins, who recently described claimants as people sponging off the state when they could be out working. Annabelle Giles, who I got to know in the jungle, a former model and TV presenter who in recent times has been existing, as she calls it, on benefits. And finally, Reverend Steve Chalk, whose charity runs a school on Benefit Street in Birmingham, James Turner Street. Let's start with you, Ken, if we may. Is the benefit system fit for purpose?
Well, not really. When the Labour government set this up after the war, it was based on full employment. I know all through my childhood, I mean, I never met anyone who was out of work. I left school in Brixton, 2,000 working class boys, no one went to university. We all got jobs. Those jobs paid us enough to be able to keep a family. Now, the jobs working class men basically have been wiped out, the manufacturing, all of that. And you can carry on arguing about benefits. Our real debate should be give people the chance to get a decent job so they can do one job that pays them enough. They don't have to work 2 or 3 jobs, never seeing their family or their kids.
No job, Katie, no job. We're a caring society. We look after the needy. We pay our taxes. The National Health Service was born out of this desire to care. And yet you don't want people looked after when they haven't got a job.
I really don't care. The people I care about and the people I want to talk for are those people that are working hard, those people that are doing the 14-hour shifts to
But
make
these
it
people
pay.
may be getting tax credits, which is one of the big stresses on the welfare state system.
What
People
we're
who
going
work
to
don't
hear,
get paid
Matthew,
enough.
what we're going to hear over and over again tonight from the left-wing loons, we're going to hear, oh, but most people on benefits, and Kenneth, most people on benefits already have jobs. They do work. But you know what I want to talk about are people like White D that don't have jobs, that sit at home, that don't go to work, and we're paying for them to sit there watching
Most
telly.
people on benefits, Katie, are pensioners.
Yeah.
Annabelle,
Yes.
do you feel that people on benefits are getting a rough deal?
I do. I think nobody goes to their school careers officer and says, what I really want to do is sit around watching TV, worrying about money so much that it makes me sick and ill. I don't want to have any life of any sort. I want to lose my self-respect if that's at all possible, please. And I'd like to be treated like scum by the rest of the world.
Your story, I got to know a little of down under. You at one point had a house in Mystique, one of the most sort of exclusive, for the pardon me, one of the most exclusive resorts you can have. And yet you have ended up on benefit. How did that happen?
Well, what happened, I had a baby, and because in this country we don't have a very good system for making the absent parent pay for the child. My son's father left when he was 2 weeks old. I struggled on as much as I could. I spent every penny I had. I then, after that, went on to credit cards. I did all that just to keep us alive, whilst I was waiting to see if I was going to get anything back from this man. I tell you, the benefit bill would be cut in half if we went after the absent parents a bit harder. But anyway, that's another story. Most of us single parents don't stand a chance of getting a job because we need 4 months off a year to look after our children, because often you'll be paying the carer more than you're earning yourself.
Now, Steve, you have a school at the end of James Turner Street, as I understand it.
Yes, we do.
What kind of impact has the way the media's maybe dealt with the benefits issue? How has that affected local people at that
Well,
school?
I would say that, first of all, I'm not one of the local people. I run a charity which is called Oasis and runs schools around the country. At Christmas, in the new year, we took responsibility for this small primary school that features on Benefit Street each week because the James Turner Street sign is by our wall. The impact on the street, but my professional responsibility is for the children. We took on the school to turn it around. The truth is that there are children that have not been to school since. Every single day there are tourists riding up and down the street hurling abuse. On Thursday, our headmistress told us that there were some tourists who'd taken their trousers down outside the school gates to have themselves had their photo taken by our school gates. We have children who are scared to go out in the playground. And so I wrote to Michael Gove, Secretary of State for Education, and I said, one of the criteria you're going to judge us on turning this school round is attendance. But if children are scared to walk down the street, if they're not coming to school, if they're frightened, they're not learning. That has been the impact of this programme on that community.
OK. Right now, 20 million people in this country are on benefits. Time now, though, to separate myth from reality. So, change your opinion a little? Maybe not. Have a look at this then. We've set up a counter which shows how much is being paid out in all benefits in real time. About £5,263 a second, in fact. In other words, by the end of this show, something like 9 million quid. 19 million quid, sorry. 90 million quid sounds like an awful lot of money, I imagine, to you, Katie.
It does sound like an awful lot of money, and what we're going to keep hearing time and time again is excuses. Excuses are pointing point where I like, because I was left with my babies when I was 2 weeks old, and I don't see
but
myself
you always have a word. You always have a word for people on benefits.
I
But
do.
tax avoidance and tax evasion, you can make
This
that
is
money back in
typical.
seconds if you got it.
We have 1% of this population. 1% of this population pay 30% of income tax. We need
You have 85 people on the planet that have the income of 3.5
we need
billion
wealth
people.
generators in this society. Why are we always clapping? Why are we always clapping people that take? People that take.
Katie,
and
darling,
no
the grown-ups
one
are
gives.
talking. We agree with him.
It's funny.
We agree with him because he's right
All I
and you're
hear is
wrong.
somebody that
That's
wanted to be
why.
a model but didn't make it. The thing I hear is
I did make it.
Come on. We don't need to go down personal insults.
Can I just chip in? You see, I think the problem already is that we're here and we say that what we want is a grown-up, mature debate about a benefit system and about dependency culture and making sure the benefits doesn't lead to dependency.
Do we have a dependency culture?
My point is this, Matthew.
You used the phrase, do we have a dependency culture?
Yeah, but my point is this. We need a serious debate about those things, but we don't have it by name-calling. And we don't have it by making cheap television programmes. And what we've got to do...
But let's talk about, because time is short for the issues. You brought up dependency cultures. Where does that culture come from and how are we going to deal with it?
The first ever project that Oasis launched was a hostel, and we took in kids that had been abused in Peckham, down in Peckham. We took in girls that had been abused. We took them in, and I wanted to provide these young people with a safe, secure environment. But I learned this early on, that what I had to do was equip them and help them for life independently, otherwise they got stuck. So I think that what we've got to do is do that without a benefit system, but to make a programme called Benefit Street and
I don't want to go down to doing name calling against
this
on
is
that
serious
show,
discussion. None of it's serious
We keep
debate.
talking about children in trouble, but what we see at home, of course, are people that have child after child after child with no way of paying for those children. Why is it people on benefits seem to think they can have as many children as they want?
Most people on benefits do that, or a tiny
It is not
proportion?
your right. It is
want
not
to
your
figure?
right.
There are
It
only
is not your right.
2,000 families in Britain have more than 8 kids. Most people have 1 or
More
2.
than 8.
Our problem here is one you touched on. There's a point where I actually broadly agree with you. Half our benefits goes to pensions. 4% is unemployment benefit. The rest is housing benefit because landlords have put the rents up to obscene levels. And a lot of people have got a good job, but it doesn't pay enough and they need childcare support and all of that.
Housing benefit, Kenneth, was never set up in order to pay people to live where they can't afford to live. People need to work with...
I mean, Katie has a point there. That I've got colleagues that I work with who commute miles into town and they're going past people who don't work, who are living in relatively nice homes in the centre of the capital. Is that fair?
Well, 2 things. One, I think it's totally fine to find Katie Hopkins entertaining, but it's dangerous to take her seriously.
Let's keep to the point if we can.
I think that the main point is that the facts that you sort of put out there, we've got to absorb them. The fact that actually only 1% of people are actually got families of 2 generations who aren't working. The fact that actually £30 billion is lost in tax avoidance compared to 1.2 billion in terms of benefit fraud. So in a way, it's quite easy to make programmes.
People are waking up in the morning and they're going out to work and they're seeing people that are staying at home all day not working.
But
That is very hard.
excuse me.
Hard-working Britain has had enough.
Okay. Let me jump in. We've got plenty of time left, although a lot of people and a lot of views to get across. We've got to take a break. Stay with us, after which we're going to meet this character.
So I suppose, in a way, the government does make it easy for people not to work.
It's like a blast of hydration. Hydro Power Select from Wilkinson Sword, the only power razor with 3 levels of vibration and water-activated gel that hydrates your skin as you shave. GQ judges selected it as the best razor in the GQ Grooming Awards. Hydro Power Select. Customize our best shave for your skin. Try Hydro from Wilkinson Sword, now half price. Wilkinson Sword, free your skin. At MBNA, we're here to help make life easier for the seasons ahead, so you can enjoy those summer holidays, the things you love, and celebrate special moments. With 0% for up to 29 months on balance transfers made now, you could organise your finances and could save up to £1,100 in interest repayments with the MBNA Platinum Credit Card. Find out more at mbna.co.uk.
Out to own on Blu-ray and DVD.
You can travel in time. Really great if you could help get me a girlfriend.
Treat the one you love to the year's rom-com sensation. It's an absolute treat.
I'm sure it'll be better next time.
Some people make a real mess of it the first time.
About Time. The perfect gift on Blu-ray and DVD for Valentine's.
And welcome back to the Big Benefits Row Live, and it certainly appears to be a row thus far. Join the conversation on social media by tweeting #BigBenefitsRow. Big response already, and a very vocal audience of people with me this evening. Now, we've conducted an exclusive opinion poll. Our second question put to the people was, do you think the portrayal of folk on benefits is fair or unfair? The results were pretty split. 37% think the treatment is fair. 45% of you think that claimants have been unfairly portrayed. Now, Terry Christian, are people on benefits, and we must remember people on benefits includes pensioners, the disabled, mums with children. Are they being demonised?
Oh, completely demonised, and it's they look for the outliers, and then they make out that everybody's like that. You know, it's almost as if I was going to do that, I would say, well, all blonde middle-class women are poisonous like Katie Hopkins. But it's not true.
Yeah, you mustn't go down the same route, you see. Two wrongs don't make a right.
I'm not offended by her opinion she has for money. But basically, you know, that's what happens. And I always think whenever I watch, and having worked in the media for years, and the media is, you know, let's face it, 70%, you know, privately educated, well-to-do backgrounds, people who work in it. I often think when I watch these shows, it would be a much more interesting documentary if you turn that camera around 180 degrees. And then you'd see something worth seeing.
Maybe. Peter, life as a pensioner in Britain. On benefits. On benefits and proud?
Well, if I was on benefit, it'd have to be a lot more money than these people get.
You don't
now.
get a state pension?
Of course. Let me just say.
So you are on
here.
Benefits?
No.
You get a state pension? You get a state
of course
pension.
I get a pension.
So you're on benefits?
Yeah, I get a pension.
Good.
Does that make me a state benefit?
I don't know, but I think it's quite interesting.
Okay.
When you talk about benefits,
fine. Well,
benefits aren't just about a few people ripping off the system.
Listen, I gave my money towards my electricity bill, £200 a year. I gave that back
winter
the last
heating
3
allowance.
years. I gave it back. Ask Ian Duncan Smith, because I wrote him a private letter saying, please keep it. But the actual benefit I get, if I get what I told, my pension, of course, all the years I've been working, I say, yes, that's what we all deserve at my age. Let me say something.
People that work and get made redundant, are they entitled to draw job seekers allowance?
Of course they are. Now, listen, before this goes crazy, because I don't know if I should be here. But the point is this. All the problem is with benefits is abuse. Not the majority of people.
You don't think it's
I'm looking
there's
at people
too many
over
old
there
people like
who
yourself,
obviously deserve everything they can get. The abuse of the system is what's wrong. That's all. That's what you should be talking about. Right now, you've got a lot of bad-tempered people. Abuse of the system is what this programme should be talking about.
But the abuse of the system is much smaller, perhaps, than tax
evasion. No, it's not
evasion.
as small.
I work with women with disabilities, defending them against benefit cuts. People are getting cut off by ATOS. People, have lung cancer.
This is the reviews of personal independence
the ATOS exam. Survivors of the Rwandan genocide are getting cut off benefits because they can't understand the letter. What about the bankers? They're abusing the system. No one talks about them. What about the unclaimed benefits? In 2010, there was £2 billion unclaimed in disability ESA alone. And I say Cameron is a family. His family were slave owners. He hasn't got a clue what it's like to struggle.
I think now we're drifting. We're drifting off the point there. We'll come back.
They have to pay
Of course,
it back.
one of the reasons why the benefit system has become such a hot topic, David Cameron's family history aside, are through programmes like On Benefits and Proud and Benefit Street. Well, we're joined on our panel now by Deirdre Kelly from Benefit Street. It's her first live TV appearance. This is the woman who, of course, has become one of the best-known women in Britain at the moment. But
at this moment in time, all my dreams are for my children. I don't want money. Just want them to be happy. be able, you know, to fulfil their education, to be able to get a job. You really just want to get a job? Yes. And be completely different to the rest of the world? Yes. At least I'll have a living. I'd love her to have a career. I want both my kids to have careers. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you just do want the best for your kids.
Hey, you want your best for your kids?
I do, yeah.
There will be some people that are saying, if you want to show your kids the best way, then you should be setting the example by working.
Some people would say that, yes. And I mean, it's not as though I haven't been on benefits for my whole life. And it's just at the moment, I'm not in a place where an employer would sort of, you know, I suffer with depression. I'm being assessed for bipolar disorder. I have a good day, I have 3 bad days, and then I have like 2 good days. And then, so what employer would sort of, you know, ring up and say, sorry, I can't come in for 3 days because I'm on a low. Or
Can I ask you, if you were fit to work, would you prefer to be working or would you prefer to be on benefits?
I prefer to be working.
Exactly.
It's like, you know,
yes,
do you know,
it's
like...
Well, no, she would.
I mean,
nobody wants to.
Can I just say, you know, I think the problem was the thing that we all see, the thing we all saw when we were watching the show, the thing we saw when we were watching the show, and I think the problem we had is that Dee seems to be at home. She seems to be swearing a lot around her children, and the perception is
sick. She's
that
just
someone
told
could go
you
out and
she's
get
sick.
a job. And I think the problem you see when you sit at home is you want to scream at the TV because you know so many people that are going out, work hard, pay their taxes.
Because they're lucky
when a whole
enough to
street
have
of
a
people
job.
seem to be not working at all.
There aren't the jobs
Dee.
around.
I think you probably...
Hang on, let's hear from the lady herself.
The programme actually focuses basically on 4 families on the street out of a whole street of 100 houses.
But there was one
So it's a tiny...
4 families.
You most seem to say to your daughter, why would you want to get a job? Why would you want to get a job when no one's ever worked before?
But
Why would you say that, Dee?
What do I say to her afterwards? It's called being sarcastic, yeah? Of course, I know. My children are so level-headed. There's no way is Caitlin ever... She knows where she's going. She will get where she's going. She's so headstrong.
But in a moment, do you not feel a bit like you're the patron saint of druggies, dropouts and all people smoke? Do you not feel a little bit like you have that role now? Do you not feel that that was the image of the street that you seem to be the mother hen of?
That's the image that's come across, but what you don't see is other people that are doing exactly the same as me. Do you know, I'm not the only person who sort of, you know, who'd invite someone in and give them a cup of tea or talk to them, but I'm the only person being shown on the documentary doing it.
But did you not accept that if she's unwell, then you would not expect somebody who is sick to go to work?
In the last round of the disability allowance, 1 million people were found to be fit to work, and another 1 million people, another 1 million people dropped out before their test because they were frightened of the test.
And you have been a recipient of child benefit yourself, obviously.
No, I've handed my child benefit back because I earn over a certain amount.
Yeah, but it's just the point that the benefits
you
web,
chose
we're
to have
all
your
on
child
it.
get a grip.
Come on, let's have a microphone over here. Go on.
Can Dee actually speak and we hear what she's saying?
What would you like to ask her? What do you want to know?
I want to hear what Dee has to say rather than focusing on Katie Hopkins, who doesn't even work with unemployed people.
Just so we're clear, I don't want this to be a discussion about the Channel 4 show. We can all have a view about that. It's one television programme.
I would like to hear a debate, and all I can hear is Katie Hopkins.
Okay.
Sensible, mature debate, not Katie.
Okay. Let's try down.
The issues we've got here is, but a lot of people on benefits have something happen to them in their life. As you were saying, you're ill, but you cannot afford, you do not plan for, you do not decide. No one wakes up and goes, I know I'm going to have a mental health issue. No one wakes up one morning and goes, I know, I think I'll break my back. Right? And that's what the welfare state is for. And yet we are precisely the group that are being targeted time and time again by the media. Oh, all these people on disability benefits are faking it.
Let me take that and run to Sam Delaney. I don't want to make him the hangdog for all media stories, but you've worked in media a long time, former editor of Heat. The media is twisting the way the general public see those at the bottom of the benefits pile.
That's absolutely correct. I'm not going to disagree with you, and that is the issue. We've heard already from various people today and from government statistics that actually the amount of people who are fraudulently claiming benefits is negligible. It's less than 1%, OK? So why are there so many programmes about this subject? I'll tell you why. Because the way to spin a subject that will attract audiences is exactly the same way that could attract voters around election time. It's to choose issues that are very simple,
they're very polarising, and they have drama, and they divide and rule people as well. They're very simple people to understand, and that is why you'll get newspapers this morning, owned by the same company that own this programme, splashing things on the front page to promote this programme, talking about the benefit system and scroungers.
They're talking about
scroungers put in the country.
They're talking about the response to a YouGov poll in which people felt that they're being perhaps the benefit system needs to be reformed.
No, but hang on, Matthew. If you see a front page, that says scroungers are put in the country and the welfare state under strain. And we all know, I mean, even Katie knows the statistics, that it's less than 1% of people who are fraudulent. Then you know that people are doing it to sell papers, to attract audiences. And
just for 1 second, because Dee, a lot of people here, clearly from the audience, want a little more insight into what you've gone through. What has been, I mean, we're talking about the demonisation of the working class, the non-working class. What's life been like since Benefit Street, then, if people are going to talk about it?
Well, it's just sort of, it's very surreal. I mean, in reality, I didn't really think anybody would actually watch it. Because, I mean, I wouldn't watch a programme which was entitled Benefit Street, personally. Do you know what I mean? It's like, so it's just gone absolutely mad.
The reaction from people on the street has been warm and friendly, or anything but?
A majority of it has been lovely. They've been very supportive. I've had loads of really nice messages. But then again, you do get some, you know, not very nice people, but they don't know me. So
can I just make the point, though, that actually the problem with the show is the title of the show, and I watched it belatedly expecting to be offended and angered by the portrayal of Dee and the other people. And yet, I find it a very compassionate and fair reflection. And I think that everyone, and I think you'd have to really have, first of all, a sense of humour deficit, a catastrophic sense of humour deficit, to not pick up on the sarcasm that she used when talking.
And
also, you would have to almost be inhuman to not think what a passionate person Dee is.
I think you would be really dangerous if you knew what you were talking about.
Let's not go down the name-calling route. It doesn't do any of us any credit.
What I'm really struck by, Matthew, is we're really failing for anybody, apart from me, to be standing up for people that are working hard. We're failing to see anybody that is getting up,
Katie,
doing a long
if we sympathise with people out of work, it doesn't mean we don't like people in work. That's not the point, is it?
Let's hear another bit from the audience. Come with them.
Hang on a minute. Come on, you're talking about people being hard-working. Where are they going to go and be hard-working, Katie? People who've got degrees can't get a job. People who've got work experience
but we have people that come over from Europe and get jobs in coffee shops straight away, and English isn't even their first language. You've had people here with the benefit of a free education.
Well, hang on a minute.
Between cleaning toilets, domestic work, or
prostitution. Why aren't we blaming the people that are moving their factories abroad? Why aren't we? Hang on a minute. Why aren't we demonising the people that are rich over everybody else that are sending their factories abroad because they don't want to pay a living wage in the UK? Why aren't you angry with those people?
And I do think there's something to back your point up, which is, as I said, tax credits and housing benefit for working people are big growth areas within our benefits culture. So you're onto something there. We're going to take a break. We're going to pay our bills, after which we're going to find out if there should be tougher rules on getting benefits. Should we clamp down on wealthy pensioners like Peter Stringfellow? And should newcomers to this country ever be allowed to make a claim? Stay with us.
It's like...
Welcome back. Welcome back to the Big Benefits Row Live. Your tweets are flooding in. Don't forget, join the conversation. #BigBenefitsRow. Well, in the third part of our poll, we asked, should there be tougher rules and means testing for claiming benefits? And here's your answer. 66% of those said yes, we want tougher rules. Only 18% of you oppose it. Now, alongside Dee Kelly, I'd like to welcome former Tory Minister Edwina Currie, who recently said food banks just make people poorer. Jack Munro, a single mum and blogger who writes about surviving in austerity Britain. Great recipes too, I have to say. And finally, journalist Rachel Johnson, who also happens to be Boris Johnson's sister too. I do apologise, it's a cross you've probably had to bear for far too long. But I'm going to start with you, if I may. We know you came up with some really coruscatingly harsh comments on food banks this week, that food banks are putting shops out of business. So you obviously have you probably share Katie Hopkins' view of benefits, do you?
I'm a benefits recipient, like Peter and like Ken. I'm a pensioner,
right? And actually, one of the problems that we've got is that the number of pensioners is rising all the time. We have 1.5 million people over 85. We've got more people over 85 than we've got under 16 now. And those numbers are rising. And not only do they claim the state pension, which, of course, unlike other benefits, is taxable, but also they need the health service and they need other help and so on.
But more than half our pensioners have a private pension, don't they? A personal pension.
But which means that they then hand back a large chunk of the state pension.
And politicians love pensioners because you turn out to vote, so they don't like tinkering with pensions.
Listen, I used to be a teacher. Listen. So what we have to do is take into account, as we do the benefits calculations, that that group of people is going to go on rising and that the need for public expenditure is going to go on increasing. And therefore, if we want to get the benefits bill down, indeed, if we want to balance the budget overall, which most of us do want to, we have to, then what we're going to have to do is tackle other groups.
Not stop bankers running roughshod and gambling with our money.
Two wrongs don't make a right. Two wrongs do.
But
Mr. Right, they don't make a right.
We've had tax cuts for the super rich and cut after cut on welfare.
Because all that shows, you actually bring in more money if you reduce those rates. When it comes to benefits, look...
You'd bring in more money if you went after tax evasion and went after the poor.
Many of the people here are making an entirely rational decision. They are better off on benefits than they would be if they were working.
But the growth area in benefits are people that are working, that aren't getting big enough wages to be able to pay their sky-high rents because they can't afford to buy a house because house prices have boomed.
Well, there are a number of different solutions that come here.
If you create problems that people fall into...
You've got to get the benefit level down. And that means it's more worthwhile then for people to switch from being on benefits into work.
What about tax avoiders? Come on, what about tax avoiders, Edwina? Why don't we get the super rich to put something in?
You've got to tackle them both. They're not alternatives. They're not alternatives. In any case, the bill for benefits for people of working age who can work and who could work is much higher than the loss that we're getting from tax
Rachel
avoiders.
Yes, give us a moment, Rachel.
What's the question?
The question is,
here, Matthew?
what is the state of our benefits? Where are we going with benefits? We've got people in polls that feel that claiming needs to be made so much harder, and yet the word on the street when I talk to people is you couldn't make it any harder if you tried.
I spent a week living on £1 a day, using the sort of recipes that Jack Monroe has made famous in her blog. And what I found was not that the people were scrounging, but people were finding it hard even to get their benefits because they were being sanctioned. The sanctioning rate is about between 10 and 15% of the people who are on job seekers allowance, say, or income support, which is only a really small fraction of the overall benefits bill. As for food banks, Edwina, you need to have a means-tested voucher to go to a food bank.
Not all of them.
Most of them.
Only some of them.
And you're only allowed 10. This is not going to put Ocado out of business, is it? Now, I'd like to say something else, Edwina, which is that, unlike you probably, I've got friends with benefits. And every single one I met has a reason to be on benefits to do with mental health, illness, homelessness. They've had to leave their council house. None of them wanted to be on benefits. All of them would have preferred to work.
I want to bring in Jack Monroe because your work seems to throw a beacon of light and hope sometimes into a very bleak picture. How bleak a picture is it?
It's awful, right? And I'm sorry for any of you that have heard this before, but the whole food banks issue, Edwina, and I know we've had some discussion on social media about this in the past, the whole food banks issue is you can't just roll up there with a carrier bag and help yourself to some items and roll away again. No, they don't. And I'd be really interested to see where you've seen that happen, because I work quite closely with the Trussell Trust, who are the biggest network. Will you be quiet and let me talk? Who are the biggest network? They don't run all of them. They don't run all of them.
And they don't run
but
any,
they
run most of them.
Edwina, we are the 6th or 7th richest economy in the world. Do you not find it shameful that we have hundreds of thousands of British citizens going begging for food?
No.
I'm ashamed of that.
No,
I'm ashamed. It's not Great Britain. We should be able to talk.
Sorry, you are not ashamed. You are not ashamed that in an economy that can afford to pay bankers and shareholders billions of pounds,
that you
have
rich
family. I don't come from a rich family.
You come from a rich
Edwina
family.
Curry, I will. Right,
Oh,
I
yes,
have
you
heard
do.
this 1,000 times, and I'm going to put this live on air to record. My mum was a nurse. She did her back
was
in.
your grandfather?
She did her back in.
Let's hear it.
Listen, my grandfather's dead.
I know, I've seen the obituary. It's a lovely one.
Right, now listen to me. My mum was a nurse and she did her back in, and now she's a foster carer. My dad was a fireman. He made it up to a station officer and then he retired. We're not the fucking Johnsons.
Language,
sorry.
now that we have to watch out for.
Well,
Jack.
okay? We're not loaded. We're not middle class. My mum and my dad worked.
The only thing we
good
got in
old
common
blue
is we went to
collar.
grammar school. We
Good
both
old
went to
blue.
grammar
I
school.
failed my grammar school, and don't make this
went to it.
personal. I failed it. I got 4 GCSEs. But when you have to pick on my family, when you have to pick on my family,
I'm not picking. I admire your family.
When
Your
you have
family
to
are great
pick on my
people.
family,
This is a reflection. This is a reflection on a personal conversation. Jack, Edwina, please. We're going to take a look at the programme now, which first highlighted the issue of benefits, on benefits and proud.
Like, there's people out there that put you down for being on benefits and you think, oh, you know, I am. But no, not at all. I'm not like that just because I'm getting a little bit of help. That's all I see it as. You're helping me at the moment.
If you're going to worry about what somebody says all throughout your life, you ain't going to get on with your life.
This is what I'm saying. That's why I don't bother worrying about what people say, because what's the point? Do you know what I mean? I'm asking the government just to help me out just a little bit. And I don't want to be living off the council for the rest of my life.
You want security for yourself?
Exactly. That's exactly what it is, security.
All kinds of shenanigans going on inside the studio. Now, Emma and Sophie here. What's your life been like since you made that programme, what, 6-8 months ago?
It's stupid. It's absolutely stupid because that programme has made us to be something that we're not. I'm a single mum on my own.
Hang on,
hold on a minute, Meg, will you work or not? I train as a Home Start volunteer, which they did not state in that programme. I volunteer in charity shops to try and get my degree up for my child. So don't sit there and tell me you work about that, yeah? Because you know nothing about my life.
Has the benefits...
You know nothing about my life.
Has the benefit system... Now, it sounds like a crass comment, perhaps, but has it helped you? I mean, that's the point of it. It's supposed to be a safety net.
It's helped anybody that's in a situation that's got children and, you know, because not a lot of people have a lot of people to fall back on for help.
Yeah.
So in that sense, yeah, it has. But, you know...
Is it too comfy?
No. Why? How can it be too comfy?
Well, there's a few people here that seem to think it's just lying around watching Jeremy Kyle all day.
No, it's not.
I do not sit. Do you know what? I'll tell you one thing. I do not sit on my bum every day. I am out volunteering in shops in Holloway, yeah, going there and recognise who I am. I volunteer in there. I do volunteering for Home Start. I am out every single day looking for a job. Give me a job then, innit? Give me a job, innit? Give me a job. Give me a job.
Give me a job.
I'm trying to get a qualification. I'm trying to get a qualification to go out and get a job. So give me a job. Give me a job, innit? Listen, I am out every single day trying to find work. My CVs go everywhere. My CV is everywhere. My CV is everywhere.
Okay.
Hold on, at the end of the day, I do what I can.
Let's just have a little bit of calm. Let's have come on.
Why not pay mothers a living wage? Why not pay mothers?
Because we can't afford it. Because we can't
See what you've done?
afford it. Because we can't afford it.
Now, the benefit
Because
system has
we
provided
can't
a
afford
net
it.
for you. Do you foresee a time when you will be away from benefits and back in work?
Please, God, you're a bright woman.
Edwina, at least allow somebody the right of reply with 1 second without being interrupted.
I was just going to say, I bet the bookmakers have lost a fortune because I bet you they thought I'd be the first person to swear live on TV. Thank you. Thank you.
Maybe you can make Edwina swear with astonishment. Do you have a timetable? Do you foresee a time when you will be off benefits?
Definitely, and I just hope it's sooner rather than later. But, you know, it's all personal circumstances. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I don't want to be on benefits forever.
Does it get tiresome being sort of blamed and finger-pointed at for the financial crisis?
Yeah, it does, but, you know, every individual is different. Their circumstances are different. Do you know what I mean? And that's why you can't tar people with the same brush. Yeah. You know, like, my circumstances are different to, say, anyone.
Emma's and
well, anybody's
Sophie's.
basically, isn't it? So, it's like,
okay.
you know, but
do you accept that younger people should be working We can't expect 86-year-olds to be working, but we can expect 26-year-olds to be working.
Highest youth unemployment, isn't it, that we've had? 1 million young people out of work.
It's not my fault.
Get a job.
Listen, it's not my fault that her. It's not. I try.
Get a
I try.
job.
My CV is out every single shop.
Read it with a million young people.
Every day we are importing people from all over the world to do the job she won't do.
We also outsource a lot of work to countries abroad as well.
It's coming back into the UK.
It's coming back now, but we've outsourced a lot. We've got to take a break. It is a really hot issue. I want to know after the ads whether new immigrants should be able to claim benefits. That's what we'll find out next. Welcome back to our live debate on the issue of benefits. We're joined on our panel now by Fraser Nelson, editor of The Spectator. We've got Dee still with us as well. Owen Jones, author of Chavs, The Demonisation of the Working Class. And finally, Hayley Taylor, otherwise known as the Fairy Job Mother. But before we go... Yeah, it's a good show. Before we go to them, I want to announce the final answer in our poll. We asked, should new immigrants be able to claim benefit in their first year in the UK? Now, this provoked the most definite response of all. You might be surprised to hear more than 3/4 of those asked said no, they would oppose that. Fraser, if Owen's right, we demonise the working classes. Do we demonise immigrants as well? I mean, they bring millions into the country.
Yeah, they do, and it's funny to think, should they come... Nobody really thinks immigrants come here to claim benefits. They come here to work, 1,000 of them a day. And it's incredible, the debt which Britain does owe immigrants. But the funny thing is that why is it that 1,000 here can find work when so many of our own people struggle? Something is wrong with the system.
I'm looking for answers. Can you help us out with any?
Well, yeah, I'll give you an example, right? Now, take Dee here, somebody like her, a single mother of 2 kids. If you actually find work, the system will take money off you as fast as you earn it. So effectively, everything you earn, you lose in benefits. You're zero better off, 100% tax rate. Now, who would work under that system? I certainly wouldn't. And if you're an immigrant, you come here from Gdansk or something, you get to keep the vast majority of what you earn. So in a way, there's a huge incentive for immigrants to do British jobs, and we disincentivise those on our own system from taking them because we withdraw the benefits so quickly.
Owen, the demonisation of chavs. What about our immigrant brothers and sisters?
Well, of course we do, and I think what we've had since this government...
Why, of course?
Well, because what we've had since this government's come to power about 3 years ago is an attempt to deflect people's attention away from those at the top who are responsible for the mess this country's in, like the bankers who plunged this country into its mess, like the £25 billion worth loss through tax avoidance.
Like the last Labour government that allowed the benefits to spiral out of control?
No, like the last Labour government that didn't clamp down on tax avoidance, let the bankers run riot. You're absolutely right. All the landlords milking the welfare state for extortionate rents. The point about immigration, firstly, it's a two-way process. You've got to remember that. This is the 10th biggest source of immigrants on the face of the earth. We're sending 5 million people abroad. You have up to 1 million people in Britain, in Spain alone. They're using the health system. They're claiming benefits. And if we look at this country...
But they don't speak the language, though.
Well, no, they often don't. And if we talk about this country and what immigrants are doing, many of the people in this audience and watching will have been delivered into the world by immigrant midwives. My gran recently, she died just over a year ago, and she had the best possible care thanks to our NHS, and she was helped by immigrant nurses and immigrant doctors. These are the people, pillars of our society. But we don't see that, do we? We have this idea of immigrants coming over and being parasites.
Large numbers of, I think, Romanians living in James Turner Street in one house. Warmly welcomed by the people of James Turner Street?
Well, we didn't actually know they were living there, believe it or not. Well, we didn't until we saw the show, I mean, which is unusual, because I like to sort of know everything that's going on the road, but we did not know.
What was very interesting was that they said it was terrible here and couldn't wait to...
They did indeed. Hayley, if you had your magic wand, what would you do to spread a little bit of love and harmony in a fairly, I don't know about broken Britain, but certainly a broken and divided studio?
What can I do about that? I don't know. I think the thing is, you know, what you have to think about is if you yourself were in that position.
Right.
Would you want to come to this country if you saw that as a better option for your future, to be on the benefit system? What would you do? So there is no definitive answer to this. But what I will say is, and everybody's going to shoot me down for this one, I do feel that there is an element of job snobbery and that some of these so-called immigrants come in and they do the jobs that some people within the UK do not want to do.
Could that be because wages are perhaps quite low and the jobs are...
It possibly could be, and I think that, you know, this is the hardest part that I didn't want to be on. I want to be on 1, 2 or 3, not 4.
Now, we have some politicians here, Tory, Labour, Lib Dem. Very briefly, leaving immigrants to one side, on benefits as a whole, what would you like to share with us?
Well, Matthew, before I came into politics, I did a lot of work with an African charity in the development world. And I remember on visiting several African countries and seeing the most terrible poverty, campaigners saying to me, in Britain, at least you have a benefit system. And I'm very proud that this country does have a welfare state, but it does need to help people into work. It's not just there as a safety net.
Simon? It has to be contributory, so people have to make a contribution. So people coming into the country should have a time limit before they are allowed to claim. I strongly believe in that, and that should apply to everybody.
Evan, if I can bring you in.
Hang on a sec.
Hang on a sec. You've had a say. You've had a say.
Hang on a sec.
What's acceptable? Hang on a sec. What's acceptable is to reform the benefit system to make sure that no one is worse off in work. That's right. But what's unacceptable is this talk about scroungers and skivs and all that, which you hear from the Tories, because the right-wing press wouldn't do it. Don't blame them alone. If there wasn't a political market in UKIP and the Tories for demonising people in an attempt to get votes.
The system has to be smart enough. The system has to be smart enough to differentiate between those that want to work and those that can work.
Okay.
And that's the issue.
Okay. Now, the benefits debate clearly isn't going to be going away anytime soon. But I do hope the last hour has given you something to think about and maybe even change the way a few of you feel. As you can see, more than £17 million in benefits has been paid out since we've been on air. I wonder how much has been evaded in tax. It'll keep going up, of course, but we've run out of time. I'd like to thank our panel, our studio audience and everyone at home for being part of the debate. From all of us here at the Hospital Club, goodbye.